Right, so really exciting. Starting in the next phase, which begins on the 31st of March, we've got a new structure for JST Compete and all the tracks and the programs that you guys have access to. So because of a few bits that have happened in the last, not just the last year, but the last couple of years, just with the changes every year of CrossFit, and we thought it would be great if you guys had a little bit more control of your season, because at the minute it kind of feels, out of our hands most of the time, with the Open changing and the format and the structure of the season, and most people, are competing at different times of the year too. So like I say, this new structure is going to help put the control back in your hands. Obviously at JST, we've always prioritized the long-term athlete development. So year upon year, we want you to develop. Obviously, we kind of have always structured the year for that to be the case, prioritizing that over the shorter term gains, and making sure that the foundations of all that are really well balanced. And for some people, the balance might be, biasing it a little bit more towards one area than another. Again, just so kind of everything's coming up at a really, similar level. Utilizing principles that we know have been proven to work, that have been proven to work in, science and strength and conditioning over decades, and then promoting adequate recovery that prevents overtraining. We've always highlighted we want quality over quantity. There's definitely programs out there that have way more volume than what JST has. And then finally, making sure that there's a tailored approach. So again, this is why we've got all these different tracks, so that you can unlock your potential and you've got the best program there is to help unlock your potential. So I'm going to pass you over to Jamie, who is going to go into what you can expect. He came up with the initial idea for all this, and we were super excited, the rest of us coaches, when he kind of outlined it. So we're not reinventing the wheel, but we're just kind of maybe putting some new tires on that make us go a little bit quicker.
Yeah, so exactly that. Beginning on the 31st of March, there's going to be a new way to follow all the programs at JST Compete. As Jack said, in the past, JST Athlete and Compete have peaked for specific set times of the year and specific set competitions. But from now on, we're going to put the power to structure and individualize athletes' years of training and competing in their hands. So if we go on to the specifics, the way this will work, JST Athlete is going to become what we've called a performance development program, working all year round on all aspects of your fitness. You'll follow that all year round until you've got a competition coming up. And then, depending on how seriously you're taking that competition, from 4 to 6 to 8 weeks out, you'll move over to the Compete program, which will become a year-round competition performance program, working on getting you comp ready. It'll be a similar structure, so you'll be doing similar things on similar days to Athlete, but it'll be more sport-specific, more competition-specific. We're also going to put together some 2-week peak programs, 2-week peak 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, so you've got variation throughout the year. And with these, if you're taking that comp really seriously, you can peak and taper for that comp, so you can jump onto the 2-week peaks. And then, having done your comp, rested as long as you need to, you'll move back onto JST Athlete and start developing your performance. And then same again with your next comp. And it'll be really simple for you to do this now that Fitter has brought in the tracks feature. It'll be simple to toggle between the programs. We also thought what would help with this and be help with buy-in and help athletes and just show you how much thought has gone into the program. This year, we're going to tell you exactly what you're going to be working at every point of the year, right from the start of the year. So we've got our climb phase, our claw phase, and then our fight phase. And each phase is going to be 4 months long, so 12 months in total. And each phase is named after a little section, a little quote from our favourite Inch's speech that a lot of our philosophy is based on. We'll go through in greater detail everything that's going to be in these phases. But for now, if we just look at the climb phase, which is coming up, we're going to be working on hypertrophy strength, weightlifting technique, longer domain base building conditioning, strict gymnastics strength, and some unilateral, which is kind of single arm, single leg robustness work. And then obviously there'll be lots of CrossFit and Metcons and workouts layered into that. So you'll see how some of that might not be exactly what you need if you've got a comp coming up, which is why you can then nice and easily jump on and jump off the Compete program when needed.
Love it.
So if we just go into a little bit more detail on JST Athlete, like we said, that's geared around building and progressing every aspect of your performance all year round. So when we just had a look, we've got our kind of long domain conditioning, medium, shorter domain, and everything in between. Who's it for? Athletes looking for a well-rounded program, seeking consistent progress. And you've probably got to have 90 minutes to 3 hours a day to fit all that in. And the structure of JST Athlete, so the structure of this main program is then what all the other programs are going to be based around. So that it's then really easy to move in and out of the various programs depending on what you need to work on and what you've got coming up.
Yeah, we'll touch on that in a little bit more detail towards the latter end of this little prezi that we've got here. Obviously, as Jamie said, all the biases will be based on JST Athlete, and they always have been to some extent as well. But we've just kind of had a few conversations over the last couple of months, and really looking to kind of refine it all and make sure that there is a good amount of overlap, but also at the same time, like how much skew do we need for each of the biases as well. So obviously for JST Athlete the strength bias, the main goals are to improve your overall strength and your weightlifting along with that. So looking to improve strength, power. If you tend to place not very well in any like barbell workouts, strongman-y workouts, all that sort of stuff, max lifts, the strength bias is likely going to be for you. We're going to, like I say, refining it a little bit more so that more of the workouts and the Metcons will be skewed towards strength as well. In the past, it's probably been the case that maybe some more workouts are a little bit more well-rounded, but it's going to be the case where we'll maybe bias some more of the workouts to be addressing those weaknesses as well, while still keeping some overlap with JST Athlete and the rest of the biases. So yeah, like I say, we've just been refining exactly what each bias is going to look like in a bit more detail. So that's the strength bias. Next up, the gymnastic bias. So if it's the case where you don't have any of the gymnastic skills, or you only have them in a very small volume, this is where I will prioritize doing the gymnastic bias over the strength bias as an example, because it's a case where you need to get those skills to start to build them up. It's the case where you can still improve your weightlifting and your raw strength alongside getting to grips with these gymnastic skills. But yeah, would strongly recommend the gymnastic bias if you don't have any skills yet. But likewise, if you do need to improve your gymnastic skills, your upper body strength and your capacity as well, this program will be for you. So like it says here, if you struggle with any high skill or high volume gymnastic workouts, the gymnastic bias is likely going to be the one that you're going to need. So again, we'll be making sure that we tweak some of the workouts a little bit more, again, so they're skewed towards like improving gymnastics as well. So doing more body weight work. Yeah, similar to kind of how I said about the strength bias before. So there'll just be some more kind of subtle refining and changes of the bias. And then finally, the engine bias, looking to, improve your endurance, stamina, your work capacity. If you struggle with any of those, more so than any other areas, this is probably going to be the track that you're going to need. And again, it's just simple, subtle changes where we just try and make sure that we could do the conditioning first on any given day to help improve that area. So you've got a bit more energy at the start of your sessions. The first thing on a day, like you go into the conditioning first, you're going to be able to get that a little bit more out of it. And again, just tweaking workouts so that we are addressing conditioning a little bit more. So weights in some cases might be reduced, or there might be a little bit more volume in a certain session compared to what's in JST Athlete and what Jamie's put there. So yeah, as well as obviously extra conditioning, there are tweaks like that again that are going to help make sure you get the most out of your progress when following the engine bias too. And then just touching on Compete, like Jamie said, it's a competition performance. So this last year or so, it's focused on like peaking for a competition. But what we kind of found is that, right, well, people are competing at all times of the year. So how can we make sure, what's the best way we can make sure that we help athletes, become competition ready at any point? And it made sense for the Compete program to just kind of run all year round and look competition performance based every week. And then obviously with the 2-week peaks, you can taper before you comp, exactly as Jamie said. Depending on how all in you're going to go in for your competition, you'll just follow it a little bit further out. If you're going, really all in and you feel like, right, I'm a bit rusty, do I need to, spend a bit more time sharpening up my competition skills and blending things together? Or if it's the case where it's not as important, you probably follow the Compete for that lower amount of time, close to 4 weeks. So yeah, that's kind of gives you a good idea as to how you can change when you feel like it's best for you. And as Jamie said, there's plenty of crossover. So some of the themes in JST Athlete that Jamie's written will mirror in Compete. But like we said, there's going to be a lot of stuff in there that's going to help prepare you for CrossFit competition. So just more CrossFit, basically. If you are focusing on longer term development, I wouldn't advise following Compete all year round. Like I said, it's mainly for helping to prepare you for competition. Weekly schedule will stay the same. So Monday to Wednesday training, Thursday recovery, Friday, Saturday training, Sunday resting. And as a rough guide, 2 sessions per day will have roughly 33% more training volume throughout the week. So again, there is more volume in the 2 session per day. If you're someone who is just starting JST Athlete and you're not used to doing 2 sessions per day, I would always recommend to follow the lower set ranges and gradually building things up from there. If you're only used to training once per day, it's best to do the same amount of volume, split it into 2 sessions, and then look to gradually build it up from there when you've adjusted to that. The power of JST Athlete. I should have tweeted this. Sorry, Jamie. I think that let's me and you discuss the power of this a little bit in a little bit more detail, Jamie, because I feel like better is a bit of a conversation. This bit, obviously, what stands out to you is the main benefit of this new structure to start off with?
I think it's great because an entire year of training and competing can be tailored perfectly for each individual person on the program now.
Yeah, which is awesome. And I think with the clarity that we're giving, that's going to help that even more. I think the other thing that we always kind of highlight is the what's the word that we've used before? Synergy. Is this the synergy?
Yeah.
And the crossover between all the tracks and the programs means that we can keep our community really kind of still tight knit while focusing on the areas and of the weaknesses that they need to improve. So again, that's kind of really important, and why we've got part of the reason why we've got such a good community as well, really. Excuse me. I think the other little bits and bobs is that we're not reinventing the wheel, as we kind of said at the start. It's kind of taking what we already do for the most part, but just kind of informing the athletes a little bit better, I guess. Jamie, what would you say?
Yeah, exactly that. That point above that says focus on long-term development and competitive success. You can obviously, the power is now in the athlete's hands to really either focus on a particular competition that's coming up, or if they just want to spend the whole year developing and getting stronger, then they've got the power to do that as well. So
yeah, it's really good
benefit.
Yeah, great stuff. I guess we'll kind of leave it there. I'm going to presume there's no questions, but there might be later on when athletes watch this back. So if you are watching this not live, then feel free to post comments under this post, and we can answer them as they come in. So yeah, really excited for this to start. We'll be making sure that you guys have got all the information that you need to make sure that you're making the right decisions. But likewise as well, if you are unsure about anything, as I just said, drop us a message, drop us the questions, so you do have that clarity. So yeah. Anything else to add, Jamie?
Launches on 31st of March.
Launches 31st of March. Exciting stuff. Right.